Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do another weekly roundup of all the dramas I was watching this week. First, let's talk about Bismil, which is the longest running drama today that we're going to be reviewing. And honestly, at this point, I feel like things are just dragging along, and I feel like the character that TT is playing, Naumaan Ijaz is playing, is a bit like out there. He's kind of whack. The thing that bothers me the most about his character is the fact that he seriously just at this point does not care about his wife's feelings. And this is the thing where I keep having to think about how so many people are justifying, well, technically it's halal, he can marry a second person, who cares? But the problem is that the way he's treating his first wife is really terrible, and there's no justification for that. He's taunting her, he's talking to his second wife in front of him and telling her how much he loves her, and like you understand that you're in a vulnerable position when it comes to your first relationship, and the fact that you're playing and toying with that, it just seems like the character TT or Tokir is totally gone off the rails, in my opinion. I feel like he's in this state of mania, honestly, and he just doesn't seem to care. He just went off and married this person, and he did consider the consequences and all of that, but he clearly did not care enough. And he honestly, I think he truly knew how things would turn out, but he was thinking he would be able to handle it, and he really cannot and is not handling it very well. He's not being professional, he's not being respectful, he's not being courteous in any way, and not sensitive at all to his wife's feelings. Yes, you can talk about Musa, his son, in the sense of how disrespectful he was. Definitely not good what he did, which was embarrassing her in front of everyone that she knows, because they all had come for his or her dad's funeral, at her dad's funeral, to do that. That's kind of messed up too. I understand how upset he was, but he should have contained himself. But for that to be the only thing that makes everything okay for Tokir to do, and basically torture his wife, is ridiculous. And Masuma at this point, this is not a second wife or second marriage story. This is a revenge villain type story. I don't like her character at all, and there's nothing redeemable. She doesn't truly care. I feel like there was this point, if you look at it in my previous reviews, there was a point where I felt like maybe she does actually care about the guy now. But once again, I do not feel that way at all, and I have not felt that way for many episodes. She just wants to get rid of the first wife, and clearly those are not good intentions, to get married and then try to sustain the relationship by ruining another relationship. It doesn't make any sense. And I hate, the thing that irritated me the most was probably the fact that he kind of teases and taunts the existence of his second wife in front of his son's in-laws. Oh my god, oh my god, it's terrible. Everything is just terrible. And another thing on Masuma, there's this scene where she's scribbling into her notebook, and she looks crazy. I was also thinking maybe she's doodling while she's trying to think of her strategy, and that's her way of doing things. But she looked extremely not well while she was doing that, and I think she just needs to go out and touch grass. And I really thought Zubi, who was reintroduced into the episodes again a couple episodes ago, I was oh, are we, I was thinking, are we going to see them getting together? Eventually Masuma is left alone and then Zubi comes to her rescue. But at this point, I'm just Zubi needs to stay away. His mom is totally right, and she is just using him, taking advantage of him, because she knows that he will do anything for her, essentially, and basically taking advantage of that, and I don't like that at all. And honestly, at this point, this drama, many episodes ago, was so over it, and I kind of wanted to just step away from it. But I was just liking the show better than some of the other shows, which I dropped. I dropped Simmer Dil, Iqtidar, and I don't know if I dropped anything else, but it was just not, these shows were not interesting. And honestly, Bismil is kind of in that category, but it only held on because the other shows were even less interesting. And honestly, at this point, I don't see myself that interested in seeing or watching the next upcoming episodes compared to some of the other shows, especially since there's so many new shows coming out. I'm so excited for those shows. But for now, I think we'll just see what happens with the upcoming episodes. And then, I don't know, maybe, I just don't know where the story is going to go at this point. I'm just, over it, and it's so draining, to be honest. But yes, those are my thoughts for Bismil. Then we have Duniyapur, which honestly was more interesting this episode. I felt like I feel like now we're getting into like the actual drama of it all. The thing though, I have to say, the thing that stood out the most in this whole episode was the scene where Nimra, who is the girl that gets married to the super old man because her dad, who is also the old man's rival, finds out that she likes a guy who's essentially like peasant level or less than. And it was so sad when she sees her brother and she's running towards him and she wants to meet her brother. And then the first wife of that old man doesn't let her. And I don't understand what is this visceral hatred for Nora's Adam, because I'm just like, I just don't think it's that deep. That's it, you know? Like at the end of the day, like the old man still married the guy's daughter. So like, is their blood really that dirty? Like I just don't. These like turf and family wars are a little much, I think, sometimes to me, but I mean, like it's still interesting, I guess. The actor Khushhal Khan, who is playing Shamir, the main character or the main male lead in the show, it was so sad to see how badly he wanted to like just see his sister again. Like he saw her, but he wanted to like just, you know, be with her for a few minutes before he was, I guess, gotten rid of. But of course, we don't get to see him. And it just, that whole dynamic, I really, really wanted them to at least get like a few minutes together. I don't know. I just thought it would have been so comforting, but we don't get that. It was just such, like, the most tragic scene in the whole episode. Everything else was like just more like strategy and figuring out what's going on. And like Ramsha Khan, who plays Anna, the girl, I'll put a picture of her over here. I'm just not nearly as interested as I am in Nimra and Shahmir getting to like just spend some time with each other, and we'll see what happens. Honestly, like the only thing that I'm taking away from the show so far is the fact that, you know, all these people have power in different varying capacities, and power has shifted a bit, and it's quite unstable in the town of Duniyapur because of the recent change in power. So obviously things are kind of up in the air and people are just trying to grasp for whatever control that they can. So to be honest, I'm not that interested right now. It's again the thing with like just having one episode air per week. It's so frustrating because I'm like, I need a little bit more so I can get more out of what I'm seeing per week, or just like jam pack more stuff into each episode. But honestly, it's a lot of like trying to figure out who is going to betray who and who can trust who, because it seems like there's a lot of betrayal. We did get to see Ramsha Khan and Khushhal Khan, so Anna and Shamir meet, and Shamir very quickly, like he's in a position where all the guns are facing him, and then he somehow manages to get a hold of a gun and aim it at Ramsha Khan or Anna, and it's like, your bodyguards should be doing a better job at protecting you, and they should not be so easily taken advantage of and then like have the tables turned totally. Like that was kind of, I know they were trying to make him like look cool and like he's capable, but like where was that a couple episodes in the first episode when his younger brother was going crazy? Show seems like everything is starting to happen, but there's still a lot of like scene setting and trying to figure out what's going on, at least for me. Then we have Ghair, which I'm way more interested in than these other shows right now, just because I am able to keep track of what's going on a little bit better. That's not to say that I don't have my complaints, because I have so many complaints with Ghair. Because while it's interesting enough, I find it so annoying. First of all, I do like that the fact that Wafa is standing up for herself, love that for her, and I love that the biggest thing that happened basically in the episode was the fact that her mother-in-law, so Salas's mom, accidentally or very deliberately overhears her praying and hoping that, you know, Salas will accept her or like Allah will like protect her somehow and prevent, you know, Shifa from like getting rid of her. But the reality is that he really likes Shifa, so there's not really much that she can do, because basically she tells Shifa to do her worst and do whatever she can to get him, because Wafa is going to do whatever she can to keep him because she didn't do anything wrong, and now she's stuck in a situation she doesn't want to just throw it away because she doesn't take these relationships so lightly. And then we have Farjad being constantly pushed towards arranged marriage. I seriously dislike his mom, because how are you so dense? She is just not able to comprehend why Farjad likes Wafa so much and is so heartbroken by all of this. and she just wants him to move on and like get a girl that is more suited to him or would look good next to him, so someone that's like educated and comes from a big wealthy family kind of a thing. And it's like, I just don't get how you don't see what your kids are really like, because Farjad ain't shit. He's super super uptight, and then also she's going off about her daughter and how Shifa is like so good and don't put her in the same category as Wafa. And I'm like, your daughter is doing probably one of the worst things possible, which is trying to break a marriage so that she can like get married to the guy whose relationship she's trying to destroy. And I just don't understand how, like, हर किसी को अपना बर्तन का थोड़ा बहुत तो पता होता है. So how does she not know that her daughter is a hoe? Like, how do you not know? And then you know what's crazy? So again, every single episode I see the same thing, and it's so frustrating. The grandma talking about how like she needs her medication, no one takes care of her or whatever. It was only Wafa that would take care of her. And I'm like, well, she would probably still be taking care of you if you didn't just like get rid of her or treat her like crap the moment you felt like treating someone like crap. Like, it just doesn't make sense. She was such, like, the thing with these characters, every single character, they flip so fast. They have no critical thinking skills. They don't spend any time actually thinking about what is going on and what is a reasonable course of action. They're just like, chalo, shadi kar lete, chalo, ye kar lo, chalo, wo kar lo. I'm like, what are you doing? And I really, really liked, you know, Farjad's mom, like his dad also like kind of called his mom out for a bit. He didn't like the way his wife was talking about like Wafa, whatever she was talking about. She was trash talking Wafa basically. And he was basically like, you're also the daughter of or the mom of a daughter, so you shouldn't be talking like that, because like you should have a little bit more khayal, liaz, and whatever. Not to say that you should only care about being careful and respectful when talking about other women. If you also are someone who is a parent to a daughter, it should happen regardless. But it's like, bro, like, what are you doing? So my theory is with Ghair, Farjad is probably going to get married to someone else, but we also get another like new situation happen, which is Salas's mom figures out that she's basically going to try to stop like the breaking of Salas and Wafa's marriage, because she figures out what's going on. And then we have Hareem, I think, the daughter or the pupo that seriously hates Wafa. And I just think like now we're gonna see like really intense drama and probably going to be entertaining. The thing that bothers me is the fact that they seem to show how all these relationships are taken so lightly, and they are using current relationships and the young generation to get back at people in the past. Like Salas's mom wants to like basically save her daughter-in-law's marriage because she feels guilty for not stepping up back in the day, and then her sister wants to break the marriage just because she just wants to do that and inflict pain because she doesn't have anything better to do. And I mean, I think if you sit her down and you think about it, I think she would conclude that what Shifa wants to do and supporting Shifa is a terrible idea, because she's going to support her in basically breaking the relationship between Wafa and Salas, and they're going to put some kind of ilzam on her, and then Salas is going to get super upset, and then he's going to end the relationship. So I'm a little confused on what's going to happen, but I think that like the Popo wants her to help take the old lady, the grandma, to an appointment. So something's going to go wrong over there, I think, and that's where they're going to get the story going, and they're going to probably paint her as someone that's incapable, disrespectful, and doesn't care, whatever, even though she cares and everyone kind of recognizes that, but suddenly they'll forget it whenever a new narrative needs to be made. It's really weird. So I feel like the problem with the show is everything is so bland and so 2D. There's not that much dimension to the characters. They'll just be like, there's no resistance, you know, there's no like this person has an actual personality, so they would not react in this way in this situation. But all of these characters will act in the way that is necessary to move the plot further and keep it dramatic and interesting. And so I feel like this is actually a really dumb show, I think. I actually kind of enjoy it, but I would rather watch something a little bit more interesting, to be honest. That brings me to the last show we're going to talk about today, which is Yahya. And honestly, I do find the show really interesting. But again, it has some qualms with it as well, because while it is interesting and I like that we're getting to see different interactions, we're getting to see a little bit more depth to these characters, but honestly, not that much when I think about it. First of all, I called it. I knew that he was going to get beat up by his friends or someone was going to betray him, and even though his coach was finally convincing his dad to let him do this thing because he got drafted. Basically, I don't think he's gonna be allowed to participate after he just got beat up for playing cricket, essentially, right? And the other thing that I don't like is the so like such intense way that the dad is like, you know, you're the only son, you have to do everything. There's like so much pressure on him, but it's all like upar se, because I'm like, clearly he doesn't have to actually do all these things because everyone's getting by just fine without him doing a lot of things. Like he just runs a bunch of errands because like we have a patriarchal society, but like other than that, like I don't really think he's doing that much. Like he's not bringing home any bacon. He's doing whatever he wants most of the time. And so I understand why the older sister just kind of like hates him low-key, because she definitely works way harder than him and does whatever they want and gets literally nothing in return. And him, just because he's a guy, he gets so much more love, attention, and resources go to him, even though he is using them poorly or like honestly for his own entertainment for the most part. And of course, on top of that, the girl next door likes him so much too. And it's like, honestly, like I feel like her character is a little bit over, and so is her mom, because why is Millie like constantly like with him or trying to be with him or whatever? And I'm like, I don't really understand why she likes him, except that, you know, close proximity basically. And honestly, I don't think he really likes her that much. Like I don't really get that vibe from him. But what's hilarious is the fact that he has this tiny little romance going on, and then he sees his sister, oldest sister, just like walking with someone else, and he has such a big issue and goes into brother mode. And I totally get that, but I'm also like, it's so funny because it's like, bro, you're doing the same thing at home, which I think is probably worse. And I think the most disappointing thing in the whole show that's thus far is the fact that I really wanted to see the oldest sister and what's his name? Yahya, yeah, that's the name of the show. Yahya and his older sister Bushra. I really want to see them interact because I was like, that would be the most interesting thing. Their relationship is the most interesting and probably the most strained, and so it would have been so nice to see them actually talk. And there are a few moments where they kind of are on their own, and they could be doing that, but they don't. And it's like kind of frustrating because I'm like, this is the most interesting relationship in the whole show, and you're not going into it further. Like I would love to know what their dynamic is like, and so I'm really hoping we get to see more of that in the upcoming episodes, because otherwise it's not nearly as interesting, because everything else is kind of basic, I would have to say. And I really liked the fact that they show a little bit about the past, and again how Bushra was treated when she was much younger, because her mom is reflecting on how like she's been unfair to her daughter. And it was really sad, but I really liked the way they showed it, because it's not the stuff that just happened in the last couple weeks. It's been something that's been happening for years and years and years. And so it's not just like, it feels a little bit more 3D rather than really flat. And so, yeah, so I've actually been enjoying the show quite a bit. I know that, so I like to watch Something Hot reviews, and I think they don't really like the show that much, but honestly, I'm really finding it entertaining. But I am way more interested in having interaction between Bushra and Yahya rather than Yahya and his love interest Millie, because like, I don't know, I feel like her character's a little bit over sometimes, but she is kind of entertaining, and she's kind of supposed to be the lighthearted person in the room, I guess. But yeah, that's what I thought about the show so far, and I'm really excited because there's a couple more shows coming out soon. I started watching Ish Ke Janoon or something like that, and there are other shows that are going to be coming out. Farrar is coming out as well, so I'm really excited to start watching those new shows and see what I like. I think I'm going to try to be a little bit more picky with the shows though, because I feel like I get excited and then I'm disappointed later on, so I'm hoping they're going to be interesting, and we'll see what happens. But let me know what other shows you guys are watching, what you thought of these shows, and definitely subscribe if you haven't already. I do drama reviews, Pakistani entertainment, everything related reviews, and also my most recent video I did was about phone addiction and how I'm working through my phone addiction. So if you also suffer from doom scrolling, definitely check that video out. I'll link it up here or here. I can't figure out which one it is. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.